Giannis, I don't hear them talking about Giannis though.
Yeah, Giannis and
The boy
what's
from the Jazz or
the
something.
boy from Denver? The boy from Denver.
Okay, okay, all right. They
Yeah,
need to give it to him, like you said,
big,
man.
the big dude. I mean, he good, but he ain't Embiid.
The Joker, is that the Joker?
Yeah, Djokovic,
Okay,
Jokic,
Djokovic. Okay, all right,
Jokic. Yeah.
all right.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Real Brothers for the Real World. I'm TL, and that's my man Stace.
Yo,
First off, before we do anything, we want to wish all of the real sisters out here happy all to all the mothers, all the real mothers.
that's
Happy
right.
Mother's Day. And we got a good show planned for y'all tonight. I want to wish my mother a happy Mother's Day. And I
Absolutely.
want to wish my wife a happy Mother's Day.
What's up,
I want
Pat?
to wish my daughter-in-laws happy Mother's Day. And I want to wish my sister happy Mother's Day. And everybody else,
That's right.
that I know that are mothers, happy
Right.
Mother's Day.
Yeah,
And
absolutely,
Stace,
absolutely.
what we
Happy.
got on topic tonight for our
All right,
topic?
like Nike said, man, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, all the standing mothers, all of those mothers that also take care of other kids. We like to say happy Mother's Day to them as well. I reached out to my mom earlier, and she was out there chilling. If all
Oh,
goes
Stace,
well,
tell your mom I said happy Mother's Day.
I
Yeah, I
definitely
forgot to
will.
say that. Yeah,
I definitely will. You do the same, Nike.
I
If
will.
all goes well, I'll be able to go check them out tomorrow, man. So that'll be nice little treat. But yeah, so we got a nice little topic show lined up. We'd like to say what's up to Pat. We see you on. We got 4 topics. We're gonna run through the topics, and while I'm talking, Nike will be putting out. We see you, man. Nike gonna be putting out the link. You can click on the link and join us in these conversations. All right, Nike. The 4 topics that we have. First, we're gonna bring our guest on. All right, 4 topics. We're gonna mute. We got my man Jermaine on. We're gonna mute him real quick. All right, can you hear us, Jermaine?
Yep.
All right. So the 4 topics that we have today. We gave this the shout out to Mother's Day. We have comedy. Okay, we have comedy. Are we too sensitive these days? Then we have Roe versus Wade, Roe v. Wade, the whole situation with them getting rid of about to make abortions illegal. Then we have, are we living in a fake democracy? And those are the topics that we have. But before we get started, as is customary, Nike, you have any randoms, man? You got any random thoughts?
I don't have a random tonight because I've been
Okay.
saving up for the actual conversation.
All right. We gotta ask him. All right, Jermaine. A random is if you have an idea that's not a part of these topics, feel free to put it out there and we'll kick it around. Do you have any random thoughts for today, man?
My only random thought is stop forcing men to play child support. That's
Huh?
it. Stop
What?
forcing good fathers to pay child
What?
support.
Wait a minute.
That's my
Hold,
random
hold.
thought.
What do you mean? What do you mean? You gotta explain that, Jermaine. What do you mean stop forcing men to pay child support? What do you mean by
Good
that?
fathers. Good fathers.
So, all right, let me ask you this then. So, are you saying men that are involved shouldn't have to pay child support? Is that what you're saying? When they're involved with their kid's life?
Yep.
What do you think, Knight?
I don't. Well, eh, well, for one, for me, let me explain my
You
deal
messed him up.
first. Yeah, like
I think you messed him up.
I got five. All right, so I had 5 kids, right?
Right.
And I was a good dad, and I
That's this
did
thing acting
pay
up.
child support for 3 kids. So I kind of see where you're coming from, but every situation ain't the same. You know what I mean? Every situation is unique. So I don't know if you could do that across the board
Well,
because you could be a good dad
helping out.
without actually paying the mother money. You know what I'm saying? But then you can also be a good dad without actually well, can you be a good dad without the financial part of it?
Well, I mean, but now,
I don't
Jermaine,
know.
I guess that's the question, though. Are you
So
saying,
so 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 here's what I'm saying, right? And I have a lot of experience with like people I know personally that do this. I know a guy right now. He's an amazing father. He was actually put on child support because of religious purposes. The mother is Muslim. She wanted him to become Muslim and marry her. It didn't work out. He found another woman, got happy. Then she got him on child support.
But
My man had to work 2 jobs to support, the whole thing, because she lived in Jersey. But at the same time, this dude always had his son. So I never understood the concept of forcing a man to struggle, and you being a woman, it's like, is the money for him? Like, my thing is, child support is the
for the
definition
kid.
of child support.
Absolutely. Right.
So it's women out here that, my thing, if you can't take care of the child, then, I feel like if it's that deep, you shouldn't have the child.
Meaning let the dude take it, let the father take it. I mean,
And-
if you
and
well,
the thing
Well, it
was-
takes two. Usually, it
right.
usually takes two to.
And
in
it's
order
not
to
only about
raise a child.
financial though. It's not
Well,
only
that's the
about
thing.
financial.
So what I'm saying is, a lot of women, like, they admit it. They say, I want it, or I need the money because I need, like, they have to support a certain lifestyle that they had
Yeah,
when
well,
they
that's
was with the
different.
dude,
Yeah.
or in general. You see what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's dudes out here that, put it like this: child support is what's creating bad fathers and bitter fathers. Now, I'm
It
just
doesn't
being
help.
honest. Like,
Right.
I
Right.
know dudes that go through that, and they fight and they fight and they fight and struggle, and they eventually just give up. Now they back in the streets. They in jail, all this stuff. And it's like, at the end of the day, the child gets hurt because the dude is trying his best to be a good father and, pay the child support so he don't go to jail.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's tough. It's like, it's a double-edged sword for a good man. You see what I mean?
Our listener L Baby wants to know how involved is involved physically and financially.
Right. That's yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think
so-
that going into what you're talking about, like involved is one thing, but there also
Financial
does have to be
responsibilities.
a
Right.
financial
Yeah.
responsibility
You
as
have
well.
to help
You have
because
to.
I mean, that's the thing. You think, what good father isn't financially involved? Like, I know dudes that pay their kids' child tuition for school, pay for all these, anything they do in sports, they pay everything and still pay child support.
yeah.
And then
Now
the
that's
mother would ask for more money. You see what I mean?
see,
And
but in a
he's
case
at
like
the
that,
game, he's supporting
I
them,
mean,
he even coached his team.
but if he has, but listen to this though.
So,
If he has receipts,
I mean, it's like, how much more involvement you want?
if he has receipts showing that he's paying the school tuition and all that kind of stuff, you got to go fight that because that doesn't seem right.
I've actually been down to child support court, a few times.
Yeah.
And that thing down there is totally against the paternal part of that relationship.
Right.
So, like, cause I was never a deadbeat dad.
Right.
I might not have been around as much as I could, but I paid child support, and anytime they needed something, Dad, I need blah blah blah, or Dad, I want blah blah blah. You know what I mean? And it was like, I'm not going to tell them no just because I'm paying child support.
Right.
So I do understand what he's saying, but I mean, them's is kind of the breaks, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I think
him.
it looks like we lost him. Hopefully he'll pop back on. Unfortunately, in a case like that, though, I guess where you had to get a lawyer because you had to fight that. I mean, if you're paying tuition and involved in your kid's life, that's not right. That's not right at all. That was a good random.
Yeah, it was. Damn, he might
broke it out the stream with that one.
need a show.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was
talk to him. I have to talk to him offline.
Yo, all right. Well, hopefully Jermaine will get back going. All right, now you want to get started? Well, we have the topics
let's
here.
Jump in. Huh?
I know we wanted to because he's a comedian. That was Jermaine Jones, the comedian, and he wanted to chime in on one of our topics, which is comedy. Are we too sensitive these days?
Right.
We seem to have
we'll
lost.
Get to that right after this Mother's Day thought. Then how about that?
Okay, all right, there you go. All right, so yeah, so go ahead, Knight. What are your thoughts, man?
So today is Mother's Day. And like I said, I wanted to wish all the mothers happy Mother's Day. And I just want to drop a little bit of what my mom means to me.
Mm.
Um. Uh. So I'm not what you call a mama's boy or anything
Mm.
like that. I did go see my mom yesterday.
Nice.
And I went and visited with her for a while. Um. And we talked and we had a good time. And my nephew was there. We laughed and joked. Um. My my mom means a lot to me because I don't have my grandmother around anymore. Well,
Mm.
my mom means a lot to me anyway,
Anyway,
but
right.
I was basically raised by my grandmother,
Hmm.
and like
I
that's
don't
base
have my
like
grandmother.
now that she's not here.
Right.
My mom kind of stepped back into the role of being my mom. She
Right.
was
Yeah.
always in that role, but you
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And ne- you know, we weren't as close, I
Hmm.
think, for a while, but
Hmm.
now, we're starting to get closer,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's like I appreciate her more
Right.
now
Yeah.
than I did, when I was younger.
I,
You know
I
what I
think
mean?
part of that also, and I remember your grandma, Miss Ann, right?
Miss
And
Ann, that's right,
yeah, I remember
and
Miss Ann.
Black,
Yep.
Miss Ann
And
Black,
your grandpop. I remember your grandpop too.
yeah, chubby,
Um,
yeah,
but I think as we get older, the nature or the nature of the relationship changes. It becomes less about you know one advising. I mean that part never goes away, but it becomes more. It becomes more of that. You get more advice, a different type of advice. Put it that way.
yeah. But
From
see,
the
I
mom.
used to be bitter. To be honest, I used to be bitter because I was kicked out of the house at 17,
I
right?
remember that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, I basically raised myself from the age of 17 to now.
Right.
You get what I mean? Like my
Yeah,
grandmother took care of me when I was a kid,
yeah, yeah.
but but from
But
17 to 50, what, 4, 3,
right, right,
that and I kind of resented a lot of stuff from
right,
that. You know what I
right,
mean? Because
right.
I had a kid at 18.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
when she got, I had a girl
Right.
pregnant,
Yeah.
and then it was like my whole relationship with my family, my mom and all that broke down kind of. You know what
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I was so resentful for her putting me out
Hmm.
that we weren't really close for a long time. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
But
I mean,
now, I've had therapy and everything, man. So now I'm like over all the
right.
bullshit,
Right. Right.
and
Right.
I just take it for what it is, man. That's my mother, you know what I mean, and I love her, you know what I
And
mean.
as
That's
we
it.
get older, also, like we have a different level of understanding. So
Right,
we have a better chance to see the other point of view. You know what I mean?
right.
And I look at the relationship that I have with my mom. I think my mother, our relationship changed because once I moved out, that was it. I moved out at like 19 and never lived with, my mother again. But it wasn't, I moved out, so it wasn't a negative thing. But our relationship changed two times drastically. We really start having an understanding when I was around her so much when we were down at the club at Dowling's Palace.
Hmm.
I just happened to be around her a lot. But then with the last year, once I went through this transition, you know, having her guidance and advice in my ear, helped a lot. Because
Hmm.
this transition, I talked to you, you knew what was going on, and but
Right,
that was kind of it. That was kind of it.
right.
It might have been two or three other people that I talked to, but having being able to flush those things out,
Right.
was real helpful. Like I said, so
Hmm.
the relationship with my mom really changed a lot within I would say the last year or so. It really
Hmm.
changed, you know.
Right.
So
Because your
so
mom is always gonna be there for you.
She'll always be there for you. Absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
You know, she helped me to get things together. And a lot of times, your mom knows. They know you better than you know yourself. And I realized that because
sometimes,
right, of course. But there were things that I would have been thinking, and she knew, and I would laugh because it's like, well, I wasn't even thinking of that in the forefront, but she was right. It was a thought of mine. You know, your mom really knows you.
right.
You know.
Right.
So yeah, man. So it's a different level of appreciation for my mother, you know. And you know, and I guess that's the case with all family. You know, your family changes as we change. You know, your relationship with your family changes as well. You know,
Yeah,
as you
family
go through
dynamic
things.
changes, right?
The family dynamic changes, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny though, Mike? Boy, we on live podcast.
Hey, Jermaine, you got any thoughts on the Mother's Day? What you call it?
But this dog annoying me. Mom, don't buy your kids dogs.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah, yo, man.
because they become your dog.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
speaking as a father.
Right, yeah.
yep, I agree with that. They wanted one. I said once the son's old enough to take care of himself, because other than that, you be out there 6 o'clock in the morning walking them.
Yeah, that's the pain, baby.
Yeah.
That morning walk.
So this is Jermaine Jones with us. Hey man, is it if the dog gonna keep barking? Is there any way to hit you a room?
I'm about to mute myself for a second.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, it's muted. All right. So yeah. So you know, but anyway. So what you want to do, man? You want to hit these topics, man?
Yeah, let's hit the joint for my man Jermaine, so we can, you know what I mean, so we can go ahead and see what he talking about.
All right. The topic that we're talking about is the first one. We have comedy. Are we too sensitive these days? We're gonna start off with that one. The reason that Jermaine is here is because Jermaine is a comedian, and we wanted to get his idea on that. All right, see, can you unmute yourself now, man?
I got him. He's unmuted.
You should be able to hear me.
We can hear you now.
Hear you. Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna hit that topic first. Comedy. Are we too sensitive these days? All right, let's start with our guest, man. What are your thoughts on that, man?
And you wait first. You know why we brought that up? Because of the Will Smith and the Chris Rock thing, and now Dave and them they stomped out this dude.
Right.
That's what he get though. But no, that's
I agree.
Yeah. But Jermaine, what you think about that? Like, what would first? Let me ask you. You on stage doing your bit, right? And then some fool come up talking nonsense or coming up approaching you on stage. That whole Oscar gonna get shut down, right? Like it's I know he's trying to be professional, but
what are your thoughts, man?
All right, so this is my thoughts on comedy in general. Like you said, are people too sensitive? I don't like the label, the sensitivity, but the sensitivity in comedy comes more so from the LGBT community. It comes from women more so, like basically both. When it's those two, because you gotta think, right? Black people have been talking about black people for how long?
That's right.
Yeah, we should all be smacking people on stage, right?
Right.
And it's funny because it's like there's humor in everything.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
So the issue is when somebody does a joke, it's the label of the joke. So say I do a joke, you know, I might have a gay cousin. You know what somebody's gonna say?
What?
Jermaine Jones did a gay
homophobic.
Joke.
Yeah.
No, it's not homophobic. It's going to be labeled a gay joke. But it's like, well, damn, when I'm talking about my family and me being black and everything, why is it not a black joke? It's just a joke.
Right. Or a joke about my cousin or whatever. Yeah.
And what I find out is in comedy, it's entirely biased.
What do you mean by that?
So let's say you doing jokes, right? You got it's 100 people in the room, 50 of them fat, you know, or overweight, and 50 of them skinny.
You got a lot of material.
No, listen. So you do the jokes, right?
Right.
You do a joke and you talk about your skinny girlfriend. The fat people gonna laugh, right? Or the obese people gonna laugh, right? Now you do a joke about your, overweight girlfriend. The skinny people gonna laugh. So when you're doing comedy, somebody's gonna be offended because they don't come there. Put it like this: some people come to comedy shows, they come for a person. So it also depends on who it is. Like if somebody say a joke, it's funny when they say it, but when you say something, it's like, damn, well, but it's like, who are you? Your joke could have been, lined up better and everything.
Right.
The sensitivity started coming. Say again.
Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. Like back in the day, it didn't used to be that way because you knew not to go to a comedy show wearing the wrong shit.
Right.
Like, or you knew like
you have to sit in the front.
Let me make sure
Right.
I'm right if I'm sitting in the front because you're gonna get it.
Right.
Or and it didn't used to be so personal. Now everybody takes things so personal and are offend like this is really the offended generation. Right. If you ask me,
it's evolved. It's called the cancel culture.
But now this is the question I have though. This is the question I have. What is the line though? Like, okay, what is the line? Because you're right. We used to make fun of any and everything, But as we talked about one time before though, Nike, from my perspective, there was some things that I wouldn't touch though. So again, Jermaine, from a comedian's point of view though, what's off limits? Is there anything off limits?
If you want me to be honest,
yes.
The joke has to have a great premise. When you're telling a joke, and I'm gonna shout out to Just Words stage.
Right. Yep.
Ms. Wise actually helped me. And she kind of threw. So I did the joke about having a gay coworker. How I found out he was gay. Mm-hmm. But when I said it, it was it sounded like I hate gay people or man, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Now
sounds malice. Sounds like it was malice.
So you know what I did? Like Just Words is one of the places that taught me how to make my jokes have good premise where it's like you can't come at what I said. You have to find the evil in the bottom of your heart to hate me for what I just said. Because some comedians, they don't have that. Like, all right, Dave Chappelle, and his special was like when he's talking about this trans friend, right? That special, that right there was like he basically gave you the breakdown, like when he was doing that whole special
of how to do those jokes. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, how to do the jokes, how he did everything, but at the same time, you like for them, they was thinking, oh, he's going in too deep, but it's like in comedy, if you don't educate yourself on these subjects, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
have to know how to talk about it, right?
Exactly.
Okay, I was gonna say that. So in other words, you saying though, you can tell a joke about anything, but it just can't be from a point of malice or
ignorance,
trying to hurt, or ignorance, right, or intentionally trying to hurt someone.
Case in point, right? Charles Walden. I don't know if y'all familiar with him. He's from Philly. No. Charles Walden. He's a comedian. He's crippled. He's hilarious, and he talks about himself being crippled, right? And it's crazy because I've heard of people making jokes, about crippled people to the extent where it's like it's just a good premise, but it's like with him when he says stuff, it's some people that, and I'll hear it like the joke would be great, but people don't want to laugh. They rather feel sorry for him. You see what I'm saying? Like that's what's happening with the culture because back in the day, when I seen them on Def Comedy Jam or Comedy View, them jokes hit. People were dying.
Didn't they? That's what the whole topic is about.
Now it's getting to a point where you can't even talk about your problems and joke about it because people just still people are way more involved in comedy than they should be instead of just listening to the joke and laughing instead of listening for what to be offended by. That's what's happening now.
And here's another thing. Here and this is what kills me about it. If you are so sensitive that a joke will offend you if it's about whatever handicap, black, gay, white people, black people, whatever, right? If you think you're gonna hear something offensive, why don't you just stay home? Put some go to a bland network, put on a bland show, and rock out. Like, don't try to ruin somebody's career or somebody's experience because you're offended. You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, right? So here's a good example, right? Let's say, like, you know what they try to treat comedy like? They try to treat it like, you know, black people. We're going to get offended if white people just call us the N-word, right? And nigger and with the ER and everything, right?
Right.
So, but then what they say on the back end, well, y'all say it and call each other that. Why can't we say it and call us like? So now in comedy, a gay guy can go up there and do jokes, right?
Right.
And I've been to, you know, open mics. I was at a place called Taboo. A gay guy can do jokes, right? And you know, because he's gay, it's fine.
Right.
To, you know,
right.
like you know, I heard this boy drop the F-bomb and not the curse.
And
I'm just like, and people are just laughing. But in my mind, I'm like,
yeah,
like
you
you
know what
the
I mean?
same thing, right? If you would have said the same,
but that, I mean,
thing,
I know that's a bad example. What I'm saying is,
see, but you know what though? But unfortunately though, I think looking at it from the other side though, it's like when you allow that, some people take things and run with it. Now you might not tell a joke from a point of malice, but then you have some ignorant person out there, like you said, the one that's sitting there saying, well, y'all said, why can't I just say the N-word? They would, because they want to say it on the street and call people that when they're angry. So, you know, it's all, well, like they say, it's almost like the situation when they say somebody messes it up for everyone. You know what I mean? Because
I've never seen a comedian though try to actually go out and maliciously with malice and intent,
right,
to try to
agree.
To hurt someone or
it all depends.
Agreed. Like, see, but the difference is though, you're right, Nike. Comedians don't, but like Jermaine just said though, now that person sitting in the audience said, well, he was throwing around the F word. So when I'm out in the car and I see this gay dude riding by and he's cutting me off in the lane and I'm angry, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna use the word. So it's like, you know,
but that's not once again, that's not the comedian's issue. That's your issue.
See,
that's
but
the person using that word in a defamatory manner. That's their issue. I shouldn't have any reflection on a comedian who is just bringing attention to topics and funny issues.
See, but then if that's the case tonight,
you know, his whole thing is trying to get a laugh. It's all
I understand
in
that.
jest.
But Nike, but then the other side is to the other folk that want to use the N-word, then they should be able to use it, because if they're using it, but what I'm saying, if based on what you just,
if they try to repeat the joke,
but listen to this though, Nike.
You on the wrong.
No. But listen to this though. What I'm saying is, I'm basing it on what you just said though. You said if a person is not saying using that joke from or coming from a point of malice, like the comedian is not. What about that person, the other person that wants to use the N-word and not use it maliciously? You know,
it's just like rap music with white people that listen
exactly
to rap.
Right.
That lyric is in there. It's like, you know,
we
they got
right.
Hey, sing that lyric in the privacy of your own home. Do how you do. You know, when you're in the shower.
But it's a double standard. But then it's a double standard.
What I was talking about, not as far as the audience, is as far as the comedians go, because it's like, all right, if somebody, like, I have material, but it's just it's gonna take that left turn for the shock value, and it's gonna be funny.
Correct.
But it's always gonna be that one person. I'll never forget this day. I did the harvest, and I did a joke about my steppop. He's African, and I talked about how the first time somebody, he come in the crib and usually say, "Hey, Jermaine," and then somebody came in the house and they shook my hand. It was like, "Yo, what's up, my nigga?" And literally from then on, he started calling me the N-word. Like, he never called me Jermaine, like, you know what I mean? But he made the whole joke about how
is a white guy
that and they run with it.
Hold up, wait,
No,
wait, man. Is it a white guy?
No, what I'm saying, it was my steppop.
Oh.
So what I'm
Somebody
saying
called
is
you-
one of my friends. You see what I'm saying? Like
Right.
he was like, "Oh, that's your name," and he started running with it. And I did a
Oh,
whole joke about how, you know what I mean, Africans like they'll call you your name, but whatever somebody else call you, they'll stick with it. And the girl was like, she was offended. Yo, the whole
Right.
place laughed. I lied to you not. It got a little quiet, and somebody in the audience was like, no. I was like, what?
in the
Like
minute.
days later, they said, yo, we got an email about you. I'm like, what?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so is okay? Let me ask you this. So to bring it back, then, are you saying that? Do you agree though that society or we have become too sensitive? I mean, do you think that it needs to go back where Red Fox could be on TV saying anything? And do you think we need to go back to that? Do you think
the issue is society picks who can say what they want?
Right.
Like you gotta think
Like
about
me.
it, right?
I can say whatever the hell I want because I ain't worried about the cancel culture. You know
Right.
what I mean?
That's the thing, right?
That's the thing.
So you all right, if you really pay attention to the cancel culture, and again, it's not shots, but it's mostly LGBT when it comes to the cancel culture.
Right.
Like,
well, no, because it's black too.
It's black, but our stuff is like,
And
I put it like this. Our stuff is, to be honest, Stacey, to some extent, is light and it's legit. When it comes to them, when it comes to them, right? Because you gotta think they've been fighting with Dave Chappelle because Dave Chappelle is not, no matter who it is, black, white, LGBT, anything, he's not afraid to tell you, hey, look, this is how you making it sound, but this is what it is.
Right.
And that's the issue.
Another thing with Dave, people don't realize, like, I don't see how they don't realize. He says on stage, yeah, I got a friend who's a transgender, and he said such a, so if he has a friend with the person that he calling a friend, and he's telling jokes about that
whole situation,
who also
not attacking the person,
that's their experience.
Who also got attacked by that culture because his friend was taking up for him.
Wow. Now Pat says,
that's crazy, man.
And I think the Pat said this, and I think this is what we're saying. Sometimes you can tell when it's hateful. Example, Mike Richards meltdown, Kramer. Correct. That's the dude Kramer when he went crazy and started talking about Judas, and he was dropping the word.
He was like nigga. He was calling the dude in the stand nigga.
Yeah.
Nigga,
see, and that's what I was saying. I think the difference is when it's coming from a position of anger or when it's meant to hurt is one thing, but I do understand where, like they say, once you let that elephant get his nose under the tent, you can't get it out. So once you let, the term I'm talking about, the camel, what's the camel? The camel toe. I mean, so once you allow that to happen, and you have somebody using those terms, then it's hard to get that genie back in the bottle. So it's almost like those ignorant people mess it up for everyone.
Who's going to be in the audience, right? And run a joke where, in front of me, and let's say it is a word that, it's the N word. Somebody has to say the joke to be like, bro, I thought this was funny. I think in life, you have to really, you should be able to judge a person and judge if when they're saying or doing something and as a performer and it's on stage, if it's in it's said in a way of hatred. Like, put it like this: you're doing a joke about gay people. Somebody might do a whole set and killing it, right? And do one joke about women, right? And lose everybody. And that's only because the joke is funny, but because they feel offended in some way, you know what I mean? And it's crazy because
a lot of people is fake offended too.
Right?
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Like
It'd
because
be
it's supposed to be.
Like I see issues
like Will Smith with Jada.
Right.
Yeah, well, true. Right.
You offended? Like
he died. He was dying laughing.
Right.
Mouth open. Saw her.
She gave him that grip.
Then, again, as a comedian, we all said it. The joke was bland. But when you think about
that was tame, right?
No, listen, it was a bland joke. And a lot of y'all might have not caught on to exactly the fact that G.I. Jane was bald,
Right.
but she
Right.
also had
Right.
an entanglement.
Right.
Oh,
You see what I'm saying? So
And see,
when
and if he would have just kept it, if they would have let the show just kept it moving, nobody would have even thought about that
exactly.
no more.
well,
You know what I'm
she
saying?
changed that when she gave him the look. Now, man, I got a question for you then. Being a comedian, then, with everything that happened, the situation with Chappelle and the Will Smith, when you're on stage, do you feel any differently at all? Is it any different sense of where you are when you're on stage now? Has that changed at all?
I don't care. I've been like, the thing is, a lot of people don't know. People have been attacking comedians. People been waiting for comedians to come outside to fight them.
Wow, really?
I had somebody walk up on stage with me before, and I kind of had to, like, you know what I mean, nudge him and like, bruh,
You walked up
like,
on stage?
yeah, he walked up on stage. Like,
Wow.
people try people who they think
They think it's sweet, right?
exactly.
Right.
And case in
Right.
point, unfortunately, like, like with the Will Smith thing,
That's
and
what
I'm gonna
that
tell
was.
you why I hated it. I got respect Will Smith, but unfortunately, that was a situation where he was sitting comfortably, legs crossed, laughing at everything, and for a woman to feel some type of way about a joke that could have went so many ways. Like, you know, again, we as comedians, we don't know what's really going on in your life. So when we do a joke,
Right.
you know what I mean? I
It
could
ain't
be talking about
personal.
bald head
Right,
people,
right,
right?
right.
It's
I
broad.
could be talking about bald head people, right? And people in the crowd are bald, but that's because they're getting chemo.
Right. Right.
And they offended. But I'm
Right.
like, yo, this has nothing to do
Right.
with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
You
right,
don't.
Right.
The issue with comedy that I'm noticing now too, and well, I've been noticed, and it's like when people do shows, there are people that are on the flyer, and people are there to see them. So it's funny because, again, you can tell the fake offense, fake offense. A dude can go up there, have a whole bit about cheating, right, on his girl, and it's funny. Some people,
Right.
girls are offended. I don't like that because they talking about women and they ain't this and they ain't that. But let Kevin Hart do that same joke.
They be rolling.
See what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
People,
Right.
Yeah.
it's just like sexual harassment, man. It all depends on the person.
To wind it down, man, like you said, man, and I agree with you 100%. I think, well, I don't know. I wouldn't say that I agree with you 100% because I also do see the other side. As I said, I think we also have to be mindful. It's a fine line because we have to also be mindful of those people that, are offended. And also, like I said, I think my biggest issue with it is where people take things and take it too far. So that one person can mess it up for everyone. So it's like, all right, well, then nobody say it because if I let the comedian say it and they're on stage saying the N-word and throw it around like it's nothing, then the dude driving home is going to do the same thing. So, it's a fine line, man. So in closing, man, final thoughts, man. Final thoughts.
I mean, I've been saying this for some time. I kind of call this whole cancel culture out. At some point, people really have to open up. People claim they're open-minded, but if you open-minded,
you be open.
You don't think about stuff in negative. You think about the positive.
Right.
Or think about the way a joke is going.
Right.
And
You
take
can't
the
just
information as it
assume.
comes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
You
right.
can't.
Well,
You cannot assume
right.
that I am not a good person because of this joke, or just because you might look at me and be like, I don't like him already. You know what I mean? And I say a certain joke that you don't like, and it offends you in some man. Like, no, we aren't there to offend people. We are out there to shine a light, political, be it family, be it your own personal life. We are here to shine a light because you could be going through what I'm going through, and you never think about the funny in it until I say something.
Just that sound like, man,
if you're too sensitive,
I say
no point.
I said in closing, it sounded like Jermaine had a lot he wanted to get off his chest. All
Yeah,
right, y'all. Once again, y'all, that's my man Jermaine.
All right,
Jermaine Jones, comedian. Check him out. You can follow him on Instagram. Check him out on Facebook. He does a lot of different shows, and I also understand that he loves karaoke. So, man, appreciate you joining us, man.
And put your info in the chat if you got any shows or anything coming up, and let people know where you at.
All right. Anybody want to come to this wedding I'm hosting?
A wedding?
I'm lying.
Oh, all right, man. Pat said thank you.
Man. Appreciate you.
Talk to you. All right, Nike. That was nice, man. All right. So you ready to move on, man, to this next topic?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, we got two. We got Roe v. Wade, that whole
Roe v.
situation
Wade.
there.
Yeah.
And then we have, are we living in a fake democracy? Where you want to go? Well, first of all, let me see. Pat says, thank you, Jermaine. Sometimes you can tell us hate. I love it when Dave impersonates white people. He actually has it spot on. that's from Pat.
Yeah, we had that up there.
Oh, okay. I didn't get to check it out. All right. So where you want to go, Nike? Where you want to go, man?
Let's do are we living in a fake democracy?
Couldn't wait for that one.
I couldn't wait.
I knew you couldn't. I knew you couldn't. All right, man. What are your thoughts, man? Are we living in a fake democracy? Well, first of all, when we say fake democracy, what are we talking about? You know,
okay, so let me explain what a democracy is supposed to be, or what a democracy is. A democracy is let me see. A democracy is when a government or ruling body is governed by the people of its state,
right,
or its state, country,
right.
etc.
Right.
It's citizenry. Right. So the thing is, we currently aren't living where the people are dictating what's going on and what rules and laws are being passed. We are living in what's called a corporocracy,
meaning when the
corporations run our government.
So okay, well, why do you say that though, Nike? I mean, what makes you say that though?
So the preferences and the preferences of the average American only has a zero effect on public policy. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example of this from one of my favorite things to do. Smoking marijuana.
Right.
If there's polls and surveys and government sponsored surveys, research that says that over 70% of Americans want marijuana, cannabis, to be legal across, federally, across the country,
right?
That hasn't happened, and I mean, in a few states it's happened, but that had nothing to do with what the people wanted. The reason that it happened in those states is strictly for profitability and taxability. You get what I mean?
Well, see, but now let me ask you this tonight. If that's the case, then one of the definitions that you said was that democracy is when, you said that the will of the people, the laws aren't being written based on the wills of the people, right? You mentioned that. But then if that's the case, then right now, like you said, there are a lot of states that using your example, there are a lot of states that where cannabis and weed and all that kind of stuff is legal. So I guess
it's not legal because the majority. It's not legal because the majority had wanted to make it legal. It's legal because the majority wanted to make it legal, and the corporate interests were able to find a way to tax it or to make further income from it. So if it's just before they were able to figure, it's just like alcohol. That's the only reason alcohol is legal. Same thing. The government is controlled by the government. Same thing like the pharmaceutical companies. Certain medicines are controlled.
But a couple of things. Well, first of all, now I think that we do live in a democracy, not a perfect one, but we do live in a democracy, a representative democracy, because we're voting citizenry, as you said. But now you can argue, or we can say that maybe not maybe, but more of us need to take a more active role in it. But we are voting a representative democracy. We send people up, we tell them what we want, and then
and it never happens.
we'll see. But the example that you just gave though, we've been saying that we want weed to be legal for a while, and you can argue that it took too long, but we're here now. And then you can't.
But we're not here now.
No.
I can't go legally right now. I can't go legally right now and buy weed right now.
But maybe not in all states though, Nike. Not in all states.
That's why it's not a democracy, Stace.
See, but Nike.
That's why it's not a democracy.
Listen to this though. The way that our government is set up though, and I hate to use the word, but you know that it does exist. You still have states' rights. So the government, other than certain laws, the government will not step in and say, this is going to be the law of the land across all states. You know, that some states have the right to say, well, our state doesn't want this. And I don't think that's bad.
Have you ever, you know what a lobbyist is, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And you know that lobbyists make plans, or they influence our government leaders, or our government people that are in government positions. They influence their vote, and they influence their vote for the corporations that they work for. You understand how that works?
Yeah.
Like so. Let's say you get elected to office, right? And you're a congressman or a senator. First, when you come through the door, I'm gonna have a whole team of people coming at you like, "Hey, Stace, how you doing? This is how blah, 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 blah. This is how things work around here. Okay, we're gonna give you this and and we want you to vote this way on this bill and if you vote like this, our company is going to give you X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah."
Right.
And then they make the deal so sweet, you have no choice but to vote for them.
Well,
you have so much pressure.
But listen to this though. But Nike,
now for how they want you to vote.
But listen to this though.
That's why I'm saying that is not representative.
But Nike, but there's one word that you use. There's one word that you use that I'm going to key on, and it's choice. You said that they make it so sweet that you don't have a choice, and that's a key word, choice. So therefore, if your representatives are not representing you and are paying so much attention to the lobbyists, what recourse do we have? What can we do? You vote them out. Now, just so that you know, now listen to this. Listen to this though. Listen to this, like 39 states plus DC have legalized weed. 39 out of the 50. So it's that's a vast majority of the states. So and it's only a matter of time before it hits the other ones. But I'm not opposed to some states saying, having the autonomy to say we don't want weed to be legal in our area. I don't think that that's wrong.
So the reason that the colonists moved here in the first place is to get away from king rule.
Correct.
Right or wrong?
Correct.
The only difference between what they left and what's here is instead of king rule, it's corporate rule.
But we just said tonight.
Wait, let me finish.
Okay, my fault.
So this billionaire class, right? There's a billionaire class that runs everything. I want you when anybody that's listening to this, when you get done, look up the Bilderberg Group. Look up the Bilderberg Group. Look up
So what about them?
The WEF. That's who controls everything.
So what are they going to find? What are they going to find when they look up the Bilderberg? It's going to say what? That we are in control?
It's going to say these are the people who own XYZ, right? All the corporations, all these corporations have an owner.
Okay, right. So that means that so does that mean that they're now, because they own a lot of other companies or what have you, that means that they're now calling shots and running everything?
Yep. They control the banks, they control the media, they control
so simply because you become a billionaire, that now means that you are a person that you're at the echelon where you're controlling everybody else. Is that what?
Well, how many billions you got?
So what's the limit? If once you get 50
I don't
billion,
know
that
what the
means that you're
limit is.
controlling.
That's a crazy
I'm-
question.
No, but
Come
what I'm
on.
trying to get at though, but Nike, what I'm saying is that simply because somebody reaches that echelon, it doesn't necessarily change their thought process that they had before they got there. You know, Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre was broke. He was poor. He grew up in.
Dr. J is not the
No.
billionaire class
Now
that
listen
I'm
to this.
talking
No.
about,
Let me finish. You let me finish my point. Dr. Dre grew up like us in the hood, poor, right? He discovered music. He made beats. He's now a billionaire. Now hear me out. What if he becomes what if he strikes some type of deal and now he has $50 billion? Does that now mean that he's in the class where he's now controlling a lot of other people?
Nope.
So
Nope.
so what is
I'm
it
talking
then?
about? That's not the money. See, you don't even. That's not even the money that I'm talking about. Like they look at that
So
money
you
like,
talking about Bill Gates,
that's
right? You
cute.
talking about so okay,
You know what I'm
let's
saying?
use the same example.
Look
So
up
Dr.
Klaus Schwab.
Dre.
Look up Klaus Schwab.
So, no, let me ask you a question.
look-
But Nike, this is the question though. So Dr. Dre makes some powerful moves, and now he's 100 billion. He's up there with Bill Gates.
But
No, you're not answer my question though, Nike. So simply him having that type of earning money or resources, does that now mean that he's one of those people that are controlling and he's the 1% and
Nope.
calling those shots?
Because he's not. That's not that money that you talking about.
The Bill Gates money?
It sound good, but
That
that's
Bill
not
Gates
that's
money?
not the
That's
money
not the
that
money
I'm
to you?
talking about, right?
So you're not talking about
That
the Bill
money you
Gates
talking-
money. I said 100 billion. You're not talking about the Bill Gates money then.
Bill Gates is worth more. Like I'm talking about Klaus Schwab, Elon Musk.
But you're not answering my question.
Bill Gates.
That's
I
what
am
I said
answering
though.
your question. I am
I
answering
asked
your
you though.
question.
But what my point to you tonight is: are you saying that everybody that reaches that level, they're now not working in for the best interest of the masses? And what I'm saying is, I don't buy that, because there's some people that can do things and reach that level. That doesn't automatically mean that they're now part of the problem.
I didn't say if you become a billionaire that all of a sudden you control democracy. That's
No,
not
you
what I
talking about
said.
the Bill Gates people, right? You talking about that level?
I'm talking, Stace. Yes, Bill Gates level. Yes, I'm talking about. Look, that's why I said don't look it up for yourself.
But
The
this has nothing
Bilderberg
to do with
Group,
what I'm
the
asking them.
Rothschilds.
I understand that, but you're not telling you. I'm trying to get across to you is that, are you saying that everybody at that level are the problem? Those people are the problem.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying.
So therefore, you're saying to me, if Dr. Dre made a magnificent deal and became 100 billionaire, he's now a part of the problem. So you're saying
no, that's not what I'm saying at all. Why you keep bringing Dr. Dre into this?
Because I'm talking about that level of income, because that's what you said.
He's not at that level. That's what I'm trying to tell you. He is not at that level.
He's not. I said if he did. You're saying
if my aunt had balls, like I told you last week, if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. We're talking about not what ifs. We're talking about what is right now, not what ifs.
I think what I disagree with, I don't think that somebody, simply for the simple fact that they earned that type of money, I don't think that automatically puts them in a category of part of the problem. That's what I was getting at. I don't buy that, because I think that there's some people.
That's not what I said.
You know, but you mentioned Bill. Okay, is Bill Gates part of the problem?
Yes.
Why is he part of the problem? I mean, okay, Elon Musk, is he part of the problem?
He's part of these groups that I'm referring to.
What groups?
The Bilderbergs
and all that stuff.
The World Economic Forum. The Rothschilds.
So regardless of why they're part of those groups, simply being, okay, I disagree with it. I disagree with it. I just don't think that's,
Wait. So I understand that you disagree with it, but are you disagreeing just for disagreement's sake, or do you have some facts to back up your like? When somebody tells you something, you can disagree with it, but if you don't have what does it mean when you disagree without facts?
I said, let me repeat what I said. I
No,
said,
I'm asking.
I'm going to answer your question. I disagree with the fact that anybody that reaches that echelon automatically means that they're part of the problem. That's what I
And
disagree
that's
with.
not what I said at all. I did not say that in at one iota did I say if you make $1 billion, now all of a sudden
No, 100 billion. We talking about that. We talking about the 1%er that you always throwing out. You talking about the 1%. That's the term, the 1%ers.
I'm talking about the people that belong to the Bilderberg Group. I'm talking about the people that belong to the World Economic Forum. I'm talking about the people that belong to the New World Order. I'm talking about the Rothschilds. I'm talking about those people. Not no new money. I'm talking about old money. I'm talking about money from the people when they were uh, first colonizing this shit. All the money that was made off the backs of slaves, all the money that was made off the backs of everybody that was in the United States, and all these people and all the land and all of the resources that they stole from Africa. I'm
Right.
talking about those people. Those are the people who run everything, Stace. Those people who are the people that are in charge. So when we thinking we're the average person, our vote don't really mean shit. The only reason that I vote is just so it's the lesser of two evils. That's why when the Democrats are in charge, nothing changes. When the Republicans are in charge, nothing changes.
Well, we talked about that last week, but let me chime in on that one though. We talked about that before. But first of all, let me read what this person said. Good thing about opinion is that all of us are entitled to it, even if we don't always agree. Absolutely, absolutely. One more here. Elon Musk bought Twitter for 44 billion. Said he can buy Coca-Cola to put Coke back in it. I think that the power TL. I think that's the power TL is talking about. Okay. Um, but what I was gonna say is that I I understand what you're saying when you're saying talking about lobbyists and things like that. But I always also disagree when you say that there's no difference between a Republican and a Democrat. I disagree with that wholeheartedly because look at one of our topics. We're supposed to be talking about Roe v. Wade. That's not the Democrats doing that. That's the Republicans. When there's only one group talk, when you always talk about universal health, let me finish this. Let me finish. Let me finish this. When you always talk about universal health care, there's only one party talking about pulling it away, right? And that's the Republicans. So therefore, those two parties are doing different things. Now, are there some things that they do that are like? Absolutely. But fundamentally, some of the things that they're doing, especially on those major issues, tax cuts, things for the poor, those there's a big difference between what those two parties do, and that's why I do think that voting matters because we got these people that are in here now at the state level. They're taking away voting rights. They're Roe v. Wade. They're trying to roll that back again. That's one party doing that. One party only. Do you agree with that? There's only one party doing that. There's no Democrats.
I said it's a lesser of two evils. I did
But
say that.
So they're not
I
the
did
same.
say that.
So they're not the same.
I didn't say they were the same. I
Okay.
said there's a lesser of two evils.
Okay. Okay.
Well, actually, they're in the same. They have the same makeup. They just stays like okay. Give me an issue. Give me an issue that that Democrats want want to pass
Okay.
that the Republicans don't.
Perfect example. One of the ones you always talk about. No. Oh yeah, the Voting Rights Act. Every Republican voted to support it, and every Republican, no, not every Democrat. Those two, Manson and the lady, all the Democrats voted to support it, and every Republican voted against it. And that's a major one, right?
Right.
That's a major one. So
Which
again,
one? Which one?
the vote, the George Floyd, no, that one, the George Floyd Act, and the Voting Right Act, the Voting Right Act. What's his name? The congressman.
I'm gonna tell you something, Stacey. If
passed.
this was a real democracy, then there wouldn't be a electoral college. That's one. And it would be everything would be by the popular vote because it's the populace of the people that would decide what laws get passed, who's in office. But that's not how we do it. That's not how we do it. Even when we do get people in office,
we live in a representative democracy. A representative democracy is that
but they don't represent, and that is the issue. That is my issue.
But I just rattled off to you. A couple of major items that we told our representative that we want passed. They took it to Washington and it got blocked. So do they represent me 100% of the time? Maybe not. But there are a few issues that I just brought up. Factually,
they got blocked, right?
They got blocked, but not by by Republicans. Not by Republicans.
But still,
all I can do is
you don't see how that game is played.
Wait a minute. If I tell my representative to go up there and pass voting reform, and they go up there and they try, but it gets blocked because two other folk and the rest of the Republicans are against it, how can I fault my dude? He did what he was supposed to do, right? Am I wrong?
Stace.
And wait, you didn't ask my question. Am I wrong with that though?
Yeah, you wrong because now.
How can I fault my man?
Let me finish. Let me tell you why you're wrong. Because right now the Democrats are in power. Is that right or wrong?
That's right. Well, so, it's a split. It's a split.
No, 50, Democrats 50. Are in power because we have the majority. We have that one majority vote.
Right, but that's if every Democrat votes the way we want them to. Remember Manson,
right?
And the
that's
lady.
My point. That's right. My point.
but my question to you was, when we talk about a representative democracy, if I tell my representative from Philadelphia to go up and vote a certain way and he do it, and then somebody from West Virginia is against it, how can what else can my representative
then
do?
He shouldn't be a Democrat.
Who shouldn't?
Joe Manchin.
That's a different story.
If he's going to vote for Republicans, then he should be a Republican.
That's a different story. But we're talking about a representative. No, we're talking about a representative. No, but what I'm talking about is my representative. My representative represented me in my interest because he went up there and tried to do what I told him to do, right? Didn't he?
Are you sure about that?
Yes. Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
Because we know what the count was. We know, we could pull it up. The vote was like 42. Two Democrats voted with the Republicans. I mean, that's factual. So my representative did what I asked him to do.
Wait. Let me ask you a question then.
Yes.
Is that representing what the majority of the people want? Easy question. Yes or no question.
What do you mean? I don't understand the question. Is that
you don't understand that question?
No. What do you mean?
So you said that it was blocked, right?
Right.
So is that representing what the majority of the people in the United States want?
No, it's not. It's not.
Then how is it a democracy?
No, it's a well, we live okay, yes, I see what you're saying. Nah, but
it's easy. I mean, it's not that hard. It's not that hard.
See, nah,
all of the rules and shit that they have in let me explain it. All of the rules and shit that they have in place, that's why they can do what they do.
But listen to this though.
It's all smoke and mirrors.
But listen to this though.
Tell you.
But listen to this. Those two Republicans, the two Democrats that are voting with the Republicans, they're representing their constituents. Their constituents are saying, "Don't vote for that." West Virginia saying, "No, we don't want that."
But Stace, the majority of the people, for the people, by the people, the majority of the people want a certain thing. When they say, "Oh, well, they blocked us, we can't get that," then that's not democracy because it's not reflective of what the majority of people want.
Well, see, now I don't. Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Democracy is supposed to be.
I understand what you're saying.
That's not the way it works.
I understand what you're saying.
There's so many rules.
Right.
That's why they're able to move the way they move. We're the one, we are the ones who are under the impression that our minuscule, we go tick a box and we like, yeah, we own that shit. We don't own nothing. They gonna do what they want to do no matter who's in office.
But you're not sitting here saying don't vote though, right?
I'm not saying don't vote.
Exactly.
I'm
right.
saying vote.
This is
I vote, but I don't vote because I have faith in the system. I vote because of the lesser of two evils.
Right. Okay. Okay. Now this person says if we don't vote, we don't vote and get the non-voters from 2020, it would only get worse. Right.
Yeah, I'm not.
Right.
I'm not saying.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not
Nobody saying
saying.
don't vote.
No, I'm not saying
Now,
don't vote.
and I
But
agree
I'm
with you though.
saying,
I agree that the system is jacked up.
The system ain't gonna change until we change it. Nobody that we vote for, we've been. Oh my God, we've been voting. We've been voting since what? The early 1900s. And if our vote mattered that much, if democracy mattered, or if we were living in a real democracy, things would have changed years ago.
Well, but
we
now,
haven't, but it hasn't because we don't live in a democracy.
Well,
we live in a corporatocracy.
Well, see, but now again, I won't sit here and say that things haven't changed. You know, we can't say that. We can't say that. You know, again, we can go back to it. But no, you just said we've been voting since the 1900s, and if we were living in democracy, things would have changed years ago. And I'm saying things have changed. Things aren't the same today as they were when we first started voting, and I'm sure that you don't think that they are. So therefore, there has been change. You know, let me see. The state and local. Let me see something. The state and local elections are most important elections because they affect us directly, and I agree with that. I think we're learning that.
I'm actually going to vote tomorrow. Early. I'm doing early voting tomorrow, but I don't give a. I mean, it ain't.
You don't have confidence. I understand what you're saying though.
It's bullshit. It's all bullshit.
But
nothing's going to change unless the people
vote.
No. Voting is not going to change anything. The only way that things in this country is going to change is if the people change it. And the only way that people could change it is it's going to have to be some kind of revolution or some kind of there's going to have to be some kind of black dollar blackout.
Nah, well, so you saying if everybody came out and voted, it still won't change.
No.
See, that's why I disagree. I think
we've been voting since 1878. And how come we still fighting for the same shit?
We're not. Are you saying? I got a question for you, Knight.
Wait,
are you saying?
No. Let me finish. It's been over 100 years, but we haven't figured out police brutality.
But we weren't fighting for that then. No. Now let me ask my question, Knight. We in 1878.
It was no police brutality then.
Are you saying? My question to you: are you saying that we're fighting for the same things that we were in 1878?
That's not what I said.
Somehow
you always seem to twist my words.
No, because you say things.
I didn't say
you said we fight for the same stuff. Those were your words.
Nothing has changed. The only thing that we got since 1878 was the Civil Rights Bill. We got
the only thing.
Huh?
Is that insignificant?
That you off topic. It doesn't matter whether it's significant or not.
Okay.
We got that.
I got it.
We got the voting bill, the voting rights bill. We got Roe versus Wade, which they about to take back. We got gay marriage, which they about to take back.
Healthcare.
We got healthcare, which they about to take back.
We got the New Deal. Right?
The New Deal is bullshit. Come on, man. That's
Social Security.
The New Deal.
Social Security.
Bullshit.
Social Security is bullcrap. Social Security. That's bullcrap.
We had Social Security back then.
In the 30s, no.
No, when it first came. No, I know what you're saying. I see what you're.
That's another thing that came.
Right. I thought you were talking about Biden's New Deal.
No. Best Build Back Better.
About the New Deal. All right. Yeah.
Oh no, let's Build Back Better.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, Stace, all this shit is the same, man. There's no like we fight in cycles. We fight in cycles, man. It's the same shit.
Now somebody brought up a good point. They said the deal was for poor whites. You know what? There may be some truth for that, but did we benefit from it? We did. We did.
Stace, them
I'm
crumbs,
just saying.
man. You gotta lay off them crumbs, man. You can't get full off no crumbs, bro.
I hear what you saying, man.
I'm telling you, man.
All right, Night. It's now 10 minutes after 9. I'm sure the Sixers game is on. We have one more topic. Do you want to push it to next week?
No, let's hit it real quick.
Hit it real
Roe
quick.
versus Wade. I ain't even gonna say a bunch on that. Roe versus Wade.
Roe versus Wade.
That's part of what we was just talking about.
Right.
If there was if there was democracy, then there would be no issue with them overturning Roe versus Wade, because the majority of the American people support Roe versus Wade.
Right.
So that that proves what we were just talking about. It's all bullshit.
Well,
I
think, and maybe it's semantics, Night. And so I'll say this. You and I both know that we live in a democracy. We don't live in a
we do not live in a democracy.
Okay, but it's flawed.
This country, all right. This country. Let me give you an example.
But did you hear that though? I said, I'll speak for me then.
Right.
I think that we live in a democracy, but it's flawed, and we need to make changes to it.
All right, let me make this quick analogy, because I know we trying to get off real quick. Let me make this quick analogy for you. All right, our country is run like a corporation, right? Mm-hmm. There's a person at the top. Mm-hmm. Then there's people below that, middle management, and they control who does what, right? Mm-hmm. That's how a corporation, and that runs exactly the way a corporation runs. You got the CEO, then you got the middle management, and then you got the workers. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly the way this country runs. Am I wrong?
Well, yeah, because I guess I didn't put anybody. I mean, as a citizen, they say the most powerful person in the country is a citizen, because you vote. Because you vote, and you have the power. The people come together and they demand of their representatives certain things, and then they vote that person in and out of office based on their responses.
Look at this.
If we live in a democracy and it's flawed, it's not a.
If we live in a democracy
that's flawed,
then it's not a democracy.
It is a democracy. You could say that.
Not a democracy.
No. There's a difference between a flawed democracy and a perfect democracy. I'm saying that it's a democracy because we have institutions. That's the one of the signs of a democracy. Different institutions. We have the rule of law. We have a voting citizenry, and we have the ability to put people in office. That's what a democracy is. We have all of those things that I mentioned.
That's not what a democracy is, Steve.
I looked it up.
Office. Just because
democracy is. I looked it up. Those are the 5.
Just because you put people in office, that doesn't mean that they represent what the people want.
It has nothing to do with the form of government. The form, if you have a voting citizenry, those are the 5 components that creates a democracy by name. And now that's not to say that things are perfect, but those 5 things exist. You can say that we
don't live in a democracy.
Listen to this. We're voting citizenry, right? But the fact that only 40% of the people vote, that doesn't make it now another form of government. It's still, we need more people to vote.
No. Even if the people don't vote, the people that we have enough people that do vote but they don't count their vote the way the vote should be counted.
Because you're talking about the electoral college.
That, among other things.
Okay, I mean, there's argument.
You got representation. You got people who swear, like a lying politician will say anything that they can say to get your vote. And then when they get there, they're going to do whatever the status quo is so they can keep getting votes. But they're not going to change anything, because if they change anything, then they'd be out of office.
So this person here said, bro, you're speaking of an idea that's not real. The system is set up for people not to vote. Okay, there are places that are making it hard to vote, but that's not everywhere. That's some jurisdictions. I mean, you know what I mean? So and that is a challenge. That's what I'm saying. That is a challenge. Those people making it tough to vote and those things, that's a challenge. But that still doesn't change it from a democracy to another form of government. That's not the case.
It didn't change it. We never. It didn't change. It's still the same as it always been. But the thing is, it has always not been a democracy. It is set up to look like a democracy.
It's set up.
Our Constitution was written by white slave owners and colonizers for other white slave owners and colonizers. Once you understand that part of it, then you'll see why we don't live in a democracy. That democracy, that Constitution wasn't written for black folks. That Constitution wasn't written for Latinos. That Constitution wasn't written for Asians. That Constitution wasn't written for Jewish people. That Constitution wasn't written for anybody but those same white slave owners, colonizers, and imperialists that wrote it.
The United States.
Anything other than that, I will have you go ahead and take a look at the Constitution and look and just break it down. Look, check out Ellie's book. Ellie's book he breaks that shit down. That's why I'm
it says here, the United States is a representative democracy. This means our government is elected by citizens. Here, citizens vote for their government officials. These officials represent the citizens' ideas and concerns in government. That is the form of government. Is it perfect?
That's what a democracy is, right?
It's not perfect.
The last part of what you just read, that's why we are not in a democracy. That last sentence that you read is why we are currently not in a democracy.
And as I proved to you earlier, my representative, because we all have representative, went to D.C. and attempted to represent my point of view as I wanted them to. And yeah, they didn't win it this time, but he attempted to represent.
Keep on trying.
No, but absolutely not. But that's like anything, though. That's like anything. We have 350 million people in this country. You're not going to get your way in all instances, though. So that doesn't mean that if things don't. Let me finish this. But that doesn't mean because the vote doesn't go your way this one time that you say you're no longer going to participate. No, you keep fighting and try to get more people on your side. But what I'm saying is that I'm talking about the fact that, again, it's a representative democracy and you're not going to get your way all the time. And it is flawed. Again, I'm not saying that it's not. It's not perfect.
It is flawed. It's flawed, absolutely. Because it's not a democracy. That's why it's flawed.
Yeah, I just disagree with that.
It's posing as a democracy. Somebody who wrote that?
When they don't do what we want them to do. All right, it's like 20 after night. We might as well wrap it up, man. We might as well wrap it up, man. All right. In closing, what you got, Nike? Closing.
All right, in closing, my non-democracy ass having I'm gonna say, even though we don't live in democracy, we gotta keep it moving. We gotta still vote. Go out and vote.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But your vote don't matter. I'm just saying. But anyway, I just want to tell y'all that I'm going out to vote tomorrow. I'm going early voting. And love is the new black. We appreciate y'all coming through. About to go watch the game. Hope the Sixers is doing their thing. And we out.
All right. In closing, once again, y'all, we hope you enjoyed yourself checking me and Terry out as we thrive in our democracy. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. Once again, we'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to still subscribe. We need more subscribers on YouTube. You can catch us on all of the major platforms. After the NBA season is over, we hope more of you will chime in and join us. We'd like to thank Jermaine for joining us with the first topic. Once again, to all the mothers out there, enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for everything that you do. We'll see you back here next week, y'all, in the digital neighborhood. Real brothers.
All right. We out.